Right now, House Democrats are pushing a new bill to give Congress a role in determining whether the President of the United States must be forced out of office because he's incapable of doing his job. Democratic Congressman Jamie Raskin of Maryland is joining us right now. He introduced the bill along with the Speaker, Nancy Pelosi. He's a member of the Oversight Committee. Congressman, thanks so much for joining us. And tell us why you believe Congress should have a new say in determining whether a sitting president can be removed under the 25th Amendment.
Well, thank you for having me. This was called for and contemplated in the 25th Amendment, which was adopted more than 50 years ago in 1967. And in the section we're talking about, which is Section 4, it says that either the Vice President and a majority of the Cabinet or the Vice President and a majority of a body set up by Congress can determine that the President is unable to execute the powers and duties of office. And this was a matter of great concern to Birch Bayh and Robert F. Kennedy and the other authors of the amendment because it was the nuclear age and they wanted to make sure that there was stability and continuity in the presidency. There are 535 members of Congress, but just one president. I think in the age of COVID-19, we should share a similar sense of urgency about the situation. We've lost more than 200,000 Americans, as you know. The White House staff is ravaged by it, and COVID-19 is rampant. So this president or any president, because this bill is not about one president, it's about all the presidents, any president could catch the disease, and if they don't voluntarily transfer the powers over under Section 3, they could go into the hospital and end up in a coma, on a ventilator, unable to communicate, and so on. What will we do at that point? Who's in charge? Is it the Secretary of State? Is it the Vice President? Is it the Chief of Staff? Is it the First Lady or the First Gentleman? So that's exactly why the 25th Amendment was adopted by overwhelming bipartisan majorities in 1965, and then by overwhelming bipartisan majorities in the states in more than 3/4 of the states in 1967.
But you know what the critics are saying. It really, the legislation you're putting forward now has no chance of becoming a law, at least no time, and not anytime soon. And they're suggesting this is simply a Democratic publicity stunt just before the election. What's your response?
Well, the first part of it is right, which is this is not going to become law before the election. And so of the many things that Donald Trump has to worry about, or that we have to worry about with Donald Trump, this is not one of them. But it identifies a serious structural deficiency in our mode of operating right now. Imagine if the president had gone into Walter Reed and there had been a different outcome than this one, which is unstable and erratic enough. But if there had been a different outcome, what would have happened? If everybody could just abstract from the partisan politics for a second, just think about that. That's a really dangerous, serious problem. The Constitution sets forth a way for us to deal with it. We've got to set up this Constitution, which is bipartisan, bicameral in nature. Half of the members will be doctors, physicians. The other half will be former members of the executive branch of government, whether it's secretaries of state or defense or treasury, or former presidents, vice presidents, surgeon generals. So you get that collective governmental wisdom, but not in politics, together with the medical wisdom. And in a serious emergency, they would be able to act to help transfer the powers to the vice president. So none of this happens without the vice president, because you need the vice president and a majority of the cabinet, or vice president and majority of this body. So when they say it's partisan, I just don't understand it, because it's totally bipartisan in nature. Half of the people are appointed by Republican leaders, half by Democratic leaders, and then nothing happens without the vice president himself.
Congressman Jamie Raskin of Maryland, thanks so much for joining us. Stay safe out there.
Thank you so much, Wolf.
All right, coming up, a controversy.